All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We get recurring guests. We got Leger Douzable. Leger, how's everything going for you?
It's going good, Zach. How about yourself?
I can't complain. We got the draft 3 days away. I wish they would have had it sooner, but it's finally here. You excited?
Oh, definitely excited, man. This is a great time of year. These young man's dreams are coming true. So anytime, I've went through this process myself. Anytime, the next generation gets to realize their dreams, it's a blessing.
Do you think most guys like doing it from home, or do you think that some of like the top picks like going to, I guess this year, Cleveland?
I think it's a mixed batch because you got to think about it. That's a once in a lifetime experience to go to the draft, and it used to be in New York, so it used to actually be a lot more hype around it. They're starting to move it from place to place. Last year was supposed to be Vegas, then COVID hit, so it was virtually done. This year, Cleveland, they've done it in Tennessee before. So I mean, I like when it was always in New York because there's something about those big, the big bright lights in New York City. Just a lot of energy in New York. But other players like to be around their family because they want to be around their loved ones. I believe you can only bring probably maybe 5 or 6 people with you to the draft. So if you got a big family, you more or less want to be around your family when that big day comes because you want to be around your loved ones. But
Yeah.
I think it's a unique experience that everybody, if you're a surefire first round
Yeah.
pick, should go partake in because that's a once in a lifetime opportunity that you're never going to get again.
Because especially if you're like a top athlete, you've been waiting your whole life to meet the commissioner in New York, and then it's your year, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're going to Cleveland." You're like, "All right, I got to think this over." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's why I don't. Cleveland doesn't hit the same as New York. A little different, but you're like, "Oh, Cleveland."
Yeah,
So
it's
this,
a little different, but
yeah.
I think it'll still be rocking just
Oh
because of what
yeah.
happened last year, not
Oh,
having a
of course.
draft. Supposedly, I think between 3,500 and 4,000 vaccinated fans will be there, so there will be some energy there. There'll be one of the biggest crowds that that we've seen in sports up to date.
Yeah, no, because there's been a lot of draft chatter because there's a consensus one and two, obviously. So with the first selection, you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is there any chance they don't take Trevor Lawrence to you?
No chance at all.
No chance.
I
Okay.
know. I
Uh,
believe this pick was in even before the Jaguars were as bad as they were this past year. Whoever was going number one overall pick was going to go Trevor Lawrence no matter what.
do you think as soon as they say that they're on the clock, it'll say the pick is in, or do you think they'll still make us wait 10 minutes?
They're gonna make you wait. It's all
Yeah,
about drama, right?
yeah,
TNT.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all about
yeah,
drama. They're gonna make
yeah.
you wait.
So
It might
number
not,
two,
not be the full 10 minutes, but
no.
it'll probably be like 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
What do you think it would even take for them to consider an offer, or do you think there's nothing they would take instead of Trevor Lawrence?
There's nothing to make an offer because Jacksonville has been waiting for a franchise quarterback like this for
Yeah,
probably over a decade. So
yeah.
if there's a guy there that you think can transform your franchise and your team, then you take him. There's no amount of draft capital that you could give up to get a player like that has the type of talent that Trevor Lawrence has. So there's nothing that anybody could probably offer unless it was a package deal with Patrick Mahomes for to the Jacksonville Jaguars for Trevor Lawrence.
He'd go play baseball if they sent him to Jacksonville. Um, and number two, are the Jets going to mess this up, or is Zach Wilson a done deal?
I believe Zach Wilson's a done deal from everybody I've talked to and heard of. I mean, to me, it's the perfect fit for Mike LaFleur and that offense coming from the Shanahan tree. This is a guy that gets the ball out of his hands, quick decision, has a really good arm, a very powerful arm, and is really more athletic than people give him credit for. 10 touchdowns in the red zone. That's something also that Mike LaFleur may be, able to use going down the stretch in the season. I mean, nobody really wants their franchise quarterback running around and possibly getting hit. But if you have to account for him in the red zone as a 11th defender, then a 11th playmaker to be able to make a play, then that gives defenses nightmares. A guy that can scramble by time and make plays in the red zone. If you saw a lot last year at BYU's, they used a lot of the zone scheme, something similar to Mike LaFleur and the Shanahan tree as well. So that's going to be good. Zone play action and bootlegs off of that. That's something that that Zach Wilson does really well. Again, I said one of the best arms in the draft, and it's a quick decision maker, knows where to go with the football, gets the ball in his hand. To me, it's a slam dunk pick for the New York Jets. There's no discussion that needs to be had. Zach Wilson needs to be the number 2 pick.
Do you think Corey Davis is ready to be that number one receiver?
The jury's still out, right? You got to look at it. He had a lot of production last year, but has been injured. So the thing is with him, can he stay healthy? Because I liked him really when he came out. I believe it was either Western Michigan or Central Michigan.
Yeah,
Western Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I really liked him coming out in the draft, but he just could never stay healthy. Last year, he proved that he could stay healthy, and he had almost 1,000 yards receiving. So we look forward to him staying healthy and being a number one guy. If a number one guy doesn't fall to us in the draft in probably the second round. So I think Corey Davis can potentially be a number one guy. I mean, you go that high in the draft, you would think you could be a number one guy. Well, we'll see this year. He won't actually have A.J. Brown with him. So he's going to get a lot of the attention. I really love the Keenan Cole pickup. I think he's a great playmaker, a guy that can help on special teams. And then Denzel Mims was coming along, towards the end of last year. I think we still need to add one more receiver. But I like those trios of receivers added with Jamison Crowder. I think we still need to add one young buck in the draft, and we'll be all right at receiver. And that'll give, Zach Wilson some solace, knowing that he has about 4 or 5 playmakers he can get the ball to.
What's that tight end's name who's supposed to break out every year, but I'm still waiting? They got
Chris Herndon. Now, if he comes along, look out. But that's the thing with him, right? It's always been about potential. And another thing with him is he's always been injured as well, too. You talk about Corey Davis, but Chris Herndon, he came on the scene as a rookie, and then it's like we haven't heard from him in the last 2 years. So hopefully, I believe this is his last year of his rookie contract. He can put it all together and be the guy that we saw glimpses of his rookie year and take that next step and be a dominant tight end for us.
Is Dustin Keller still there, or he gone?
Nah, he's been gone for some years, man.
Maybe should bring him back. All right, so it starts to get interesting at number 3. Obviously, you got San Fran traded 100%. In. Got the press conference today. I don't know if you saw Kyle Shanahan. Had some interesting comments. It appears that Jimmy Garoppolo, when some people thought he might be the starter next year until the presumed rookie is ready, it seems like the rookie is going to get week 1. Who do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, first and foremost, I tell people this all the time. When you take a quarterback in the top 10, I don't care who's at quarterback in the building. That guy's going to start. You draft somebody that high, you draft him to be your quarterback for now and the future. I mean, the same situation happened to us when I was in Jacksonville with Blaine Gabbert. David Garrard was coming off a Pro Bowl year. They released him because they took Blaine Gabbert in the top 10. When you take a quarterback that high, you're going to play him. I mean, same thing with Daniel Jones and Eli Manning. A few years ago, a lot of people were saying, well, this is the best Eli's looked in the last couple of years in camp. And I was like, I love Eli. He was my teammate, great guy, great teammate, hell of a player. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. But when you take a Daniel Jones that high, he's going to play. You don't take him that high in the draft, top 10, to sit him on the bench. Yes, it works sometimes where you can develop guys, but if you look at the history, most of the guys that develop and sit on the bench and they wait, they're usually in the teens or the 20s. You take a guy in the top 10, you're taking them to be your guy right now and in the future. So there's no way a guy you take in the top 10 is going to sit. So yeah, that's crazy. If San Francisco traded up to the number 3 pick, their guys playing right away, and they most likely will trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
Who do you think that guy is? Because I feel like they don't make that pick unless they know then who they want.
Oh, 100%. You don't make that trade up unless you know that you can get 1 or 2 of your guys. Like they probably had 2 guys in mind, and 1 or 2 of them will be there. And to me, it's got to be Justin Fields. I know there's been a lot of hoopla about Mac Jones being the guy and Trey Lance potentially being the guy. But knowing, Kyle Shanahan and also knowing John Lynch personally, I played there my last year, got to know these guys. And then the year I retired, I went back and talked to them a few times, and texted them back and forth. They keep everything close to their chest. Like you really don't know what type of moves they're gonna make. And to me, Justin Fields seems like the move that they're gonna make, right? Everybody's saying it's gonna be Mac Jones, or it could be potentially Trey Lance because of the potential that Trey Lance has. But to me, them not talking about Justin Fields almost solidifies it for me. I believe it's gonna be Justin Fields. If you look at it, what Kyle Shanahan does in his offense, Justin Fields is a guy that has a strong arm, a guy that can make some read, but with a guy like Kyle Shanahan, guys have been talking about his progression, him reading through progressions, not being as sharp as other quarterbacks. But if you got a guy like Kyle Shanahan, he's going to help you out with a lot of that. I mean, every offense that he has is helped the quarterback immensely. If you look at what Matt Ryan was before Kyle Shanahan got there, he's 2 totally different players, man. Kyle Shanahan takes his quarterback and elevates him. I believe he can do that with Justin Fields. He'll get the ball out of his hands. Like we talked about with the LaFleur offense moving from San Francisco over there to the New York Jets. They're going to run the zone scheme, right? And they're going to have Justin Fields on some bootlegs, some play action passes. They'll get him some quick, easy options 1-2 reads when we get the ball out of his hands. And as he gets, more developed in this offense, his progressions will get a lot better, and he'll be able to go through that progression chart. And I've seen him do it before multiple times at Ohio State. So I thought it was hogwash when people said he struggled with reading progressions, because I've seen it multiple times. There's one game in Penn State, one play in Penn State in the red zone where I saw this guy literally go through 4 different progressions and hit the 4th receiver for a touchdown. So don't tell me this guy can't do it. He has all the tools. People tend to forget he was the #1 quarterback coming out of high school. It wasn't Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, in this draft class right here, if you would go, you can go 1, 2, 3, either Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, or Fields, and I wouldn't be upset with either one of those 3 going in any particular order. Who's to say that, Trevor Lawrence is that much better than Zach Wilson or Justin Fields? I mean, I haven't really seen it, especially this last year. He came on his rookie year. They won a national championship. It's talking about Trevor Lawrence. But honestly, from what I've seen from Zach Wilson this past year and Justin Fields, they're literally right there with him. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Jacksonville took Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. I believe they will take Trevor Lawrence just because of the pedigree and what he's done since his freshman year. But honestly, from the play that I've seen from Zach Wilson this year, to me, he was the best quarterback on film or period this past year if you look at the film completely. And I think Justin Fields shows you what type of competitor he was in a national championship game. I mean, he was getting beaten and blundered, I believe, maybe had a cracked rib or something like that, and continued to still go out there and fight. And this guy was going to be a top 10 pick, so he had every chance to lay it down. But it shows the type of grit and competitor that he was, that he wanted to lay it on the line for his teammates, knowing what he could lose potentially going back out there hurt. I think if you're, a teammate or a GM or a coach, you see that and you're like, we want this guy on our team because he's a fighter and he's eager to learn.
Do you think the opposing teams knew they were trading to 3 to get Fields? And I'm just going to parlay this. Do you think the slander was from the slander of his game? And there were some comments made by Dan Orlovsky, some other people. The slander was because they knew he was 3 to try to get him to drop.
I will tell you this, Zach. Every year there's teams that send out some slander so that a guy that they really like can potentially drop. Now, if you fall, for the dummy trick, then that's on you, and you potentially miss out on a great play. And they're back there kicking and high and snickering because the player that they wanted has now dropped in the draft, and they didn't have to give anything up to go and get him. So I would be wary of teams like, maybe the Panthers or the Lions or the Broncos, sparing a player's name to potentially have him drop so they can draft him and not have to give up any draft capital to go up and get him. But every year this happens in the draft. You see players that are dropped, and then it's just weird. You're like, why is this player dropping this? Because there's some slander put out there on purpose to make teams rethink their decisions, right? That way a player can drop to a team that really wants him and they can draft their guy.
And then at 4, you got Atlanta. I saw there's some rumors today that potentially thinking about moving on from Julio. You think they're leaning Kyle Pitts, or what are you thinking?
To me, Kyle Pitts is the best overall player in this draft, hands down. Honestly, any of these teams could have picked him, and I wouldn't have been mad. Yes, the top 3 teams need a quarterback, but Kyle Pitts is that type of generational talent where if you took him in the top 4, I wouldn't be mad. I don't believe there's been a tight end taken that high since Vernon Davis. And he had a really good career, was a Pro Bowler for many years. And he is that type of freakish athlete like Vernon Davis was. I mean, the kid standing almost at 250, running a 4.4. I don't know if you saw that 40. He actually staggered out of his stance and was running diagonally and still ran a 4.4. So this kid is once in a generational type talent. I can see the Falcons taking him, but there's also rumors that they could take their quarterback of the future and Trey Lance. Who's to say when they'll be in the top 5 again? My thing is, if you feel like you need to get your quarterback for the future because Matt Ryan is getting up there in age, who knows when you'll be back in this top 5. Go ahead and get your quarterback. I mean, you're most likely rebuilding anyway, so go ahead and get your quarterback for the future. Now, this is the instance where I wouldn't mind a top 5 quarterback sitting for a year because Matt Ryan is still proving that he can play at a high level, and that's one of the best guys that this young quarterback can learn from. So you sit behind Matt Ryan for a year, maybe 2, and then you go ahead and take the Rams a la like, Pat Mahomes did in Kansas City, or, Aaron Rodgers after 3 or 4 years in Green Bay behind Brett Favre. So I could actually see, I'm going to go ahead and pencil Trey Lance in here. I know that's kind of astonishing for a lot of people. A lot of people have Kyle Pitts, but I think Atlanta being in this situation, and like you said, Julio Jones leaving, Atlanta's probably not going to really be competing this year for a championship. Why not go ahead and start your real rebuild, plan for the future, get the best value pick. And, Kyle Pitts, to me, is the best player in the draft. So, obviously, value-wise, he would be the pick here. But I think if you want to get your quarterback for the future, a guy that has all the tools but has some accuracy issues, why not sit him for a year or two behind a guy like Matt Ryan and let him learn the system and then come in 2 years and be your franchise guy?
If we see 4 quarterbacks off the board off the bat, that's going to be
4 back to
unbelievable.
back.
Yeah. And then at 5, so you got Cincy. Do you protect Joe
Yeah.
Burrow? Do you get him Jamar Chase to reunite, or Kyle Pitts?
So this right here is tough, right? Because you can go Kyle Pitts, since I just gave Trey Lance to the Falcons. You can go Sewell from Oregon and protect Burrow, because you can give Burrow all the weapons in the world, but if you can't protect them, then he's not going to last. We saw last year he ended up getting hurt in his rookie year, and he was starting to come on too and be the guy that we saw won the Heisman and take his team to the national championship and win. So I got to go with the big dancing bear, man. I got to go with Sewell right here at the pick 5. To me, it just makes sense. They took Jonah Williams a few years ago. He stays getting hurt. I would move him to right and put Sewell at left tackle, and then you have a pretty good tandem at tackle to protect, your franchise quarterback.
And then at Miami, what do you see them doing? They could go anywhere for this.
They really could go anywhere, right? They need they could potentially go receiver. They got 2 good receivers in Devontae Parker and Preston Williams, but they stay getting hurt. So injury is the issue right here. So do you go, Jamar Chase here? Do you go Kyle Pitts? I'm going to give them Jamar Chase right here. To me, the best receiver in football. I know a lot of people are saying Devontae Smith, and a lot of people have Waddle actually ahead of Smith, to me, which is kind of baffling because he's been dealing with injury issues too. But I think people tend to forget what Jamar Chase did last year in that championship run for the LSU Tigers. To me, one of the best receivers, big and physical guy. He does a great job of getting open at the top of the route, getting some separation. The guy can play in the slot, he can play outside, and he's explosive with the ball in his hands. I think this is a guy that can grow with Tua. And like I said, the injury issue, right? We're talking about Preston Williams and Devontae Parker constantly getting hurt. Well, this is a guy that Jamar Chase, I don't believe, has missed any games, and he's going to be a tough, rugged type player that Tua can really grow with and help with this offense. The reason why I didn't go tight end, because Gesicki actually has played well for them the last couple of years. Having 2 tight end sets could really help Tua because he likes to throw the ball in the middle of the field. So Kyle Pitts and Gesicki going 12 personnel could be really good for them. But right here, I say go Jamar Chase.
And then you go to Detroit, who already has an established tight end in TJ Hockenson, and they just traded for Jared Goff. So I'm assuming you're not thinking Mac Jones or Kyle Pitts. Who do you like with Detroit?
There's rumors in Detroit that they could potentially take a quarterback. So say a guy like Trey Lance or Justin Fields slides there. There's potential that they take a quarterback. But I'm going to go with Slater, the big offensive tackle from Northwestern, I believe. He could potentially be the best tackle in this draft. I think Sewell has a higher ceiling, but as far as playing right now, I like Slater as an overall better player. I think that's a great tackle for Jared Goff in that offense. He'll be good in the run game for Swift, but also really good for Jared Goff and protecting them. So I'm going to go Slater right here from Northwestern.
So not a receiver because Marvin Jones is gone and Galladay's gone. Who's he throwing to?
Who's going to protect them is first and foremost is the question, right? You got to build from your offensive line up, man. You got to be able to build through the offensive line. This is a deep receiving class too, so he'll be able to get a second round receiver, but first round talent in the next round.
So do you see Kyle Pitts landing in Carolina?
Carolina's probably praying this happens, right? Like there's question marks, even though they got Sam Darnold, they could still potentially get a quarterback. But if Kyle Pitts lands in their hands, they're taking Kyle Pitts 110%. They lost Greg to Seattle last year, and they really haven't had anybody to fill that void. So right here, if they could get Kyle Pitts, they get Sam Darnold a weapon. Imagine Kyle Pitts, D Moore, and then Robbie Anderson. That's a nice trio. You lost Chris Samuels, in the offseason, but now if you can replace him with a Kyle Pitts, a guy that, like I said, is a mismatch from hell for safeties and linebackers and smaller corners. And then you also throw in the speed of Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore out there. Yeah. Then you got, and then Christian McCaffrey comes back. You're talking about a nasty offense on paper right now. And then Sam Darnold was worried about not getting enough playmakers. Yeah. Well, he can't complain if he has those top 4 guys right there. Those are his top 4 pass catchers right there. You have all the ammunition you need to have success then you can really evaluate Sam Darnold. So yeah, we're gonna go Kyle Pitts right here to the Panthers.
Because we're not doing trades, but if we were, and Jerry Jones is sitting at 10 and Kyle Pitts is there at 8 and he can't get him, the Cowboys are gonna be fuming. Because I know he's been talking a
Yeah, they are.
lot about Cowboys. And then so get to 9, get the Broncos, kind of an iffy situation at quarterback with Drew Lock. You got weapons, you got some returning defensive starters. You just paid Justin Simmons. Where do you see them go?
Yeah, so it's tough here, right? Like Denver's hoping a quarterback potentially could slide. But a lot of people have had a lot of faith in Locke. But they did say they want to give him some competition. But if you drop the guy in the top 10, that's not competition. He's gonna be the starter. So right here, I'm gonna say we're gonna go Patrick Surtain, corner.
Interesting.
Matter of fact, no, we're gonna go Michael Parsons
From Penn State.
Penn State linebacker. They need a linebacker to help with that defense. Vic Fangio is bred at a defensive coordinator. He needs a guy that can be his linebacker for the next 7 to 8 years. And Michael Parsons can do it all. I mean, this guy is a freakish athlete. I believe ran a 4.4 at the combine. This guy's a run hit guy, can run sideline to sideline. Great with covering, great at blitzing and getting after the quarterback when they send him on blitzes. This is a guy that can spearhead your defense. And this is a guy that I think, that Vic would really love on his defense.
So you don't see a defensive player being drafted until 9.
Till 9. Honestly,
Wow.
no. And a lot of mock drafts, if you looked it up, don't see one until 10.
No, I don't think it's ever happened before. So that's unbelievable. And
Probably
then
not. I mean, this is a decent corner draft. It's a
Yeah.
bad interior defensive line draft. It's an okay edge draft, and linebacker is a solid linebacker. So this is not really a year for crazy defensive talent.
So who do you see the Cowboys going with at 10? The corner, linebacker, lineman?
I feel like they have to go Patrick Surtain here if he's still there. I mean, you pair him with his former teammate Diggs on the outside that they took last year from Alabama, and now you're starting to get a little bit more respect for this Cowboys defense that was laughable last year. I know Jerry Jones has been real giddy about Kyle Pitts, but you have enough offensive weapons. You need to fix that defense. That's right. That's why they brought, Quinn in to fix that defense. You got to get those 2 corners like he had at Seattle. And when they were the Legion of Boom. Right now you have Diggs, you get Patrick Surtain, a guy that can play man press coverage, a guy that can play zone coverage, just an all-around good football player. To me, the number 1 corner in this draft. Now, Farley probably would have been the number 1 corner if he didn't have all the health issues. But Patrick Surtain, you go Farley or Surtain here. I wouldn't be mad with either one, but I think Surtain, just because you want to be a little bit cautious with that back with Farley taking him in the top 10, I think Patrick Surtain is the guy that goes to the Cowboys at 10 if Jerry Jones is smart.
So how far do you see Mac Jones falling?
New England's a team that could potentially get him. If New England doesn't get him, I believe they're at 15.
Yeah.
Then he could potentially fall to the second round, man. Honestly, I mean,
really?
Chicago could maybe make a move, but I think
Washington take him at 19 in a heartbeat. Washington.
You think so? I don't know if Washington's that giddy on him though. So we'll see. I mean, he could fall to 19 at Washington, but we will see. We will see because they definitely need a quarterback of the future. They got some fill-in guys right now with my guy Fitzmagic over there, Allen, and Heineke. Honestly, I would love to see them give Heineke a chance.
Yeah,
Fitz is my guy. You know what you're gonna get with Fitz.
Yeah.
But if Fitz beats him outright, then he deserves to be the starting quarterback. But if Heineke beats him out, I feel like they should give Heineke a chance, man. He was electrifying in that playoff game. And his teammates really fed off him. So I think another year in that offense, he can get a lot better. But you're right. If Mac Jones falls at 19, Washington could pull the trigger.
And then you still got a Heisman Trophy winner on the board. I know some people are concerned about the weight. How far do you see him falling?
Devontae Smith probably won't fall past 15 or 16. I mean, the Giants are picking at 11 next. Where do you go, Devontae Smith, or you go Waddle? The returnability to Waddle. I mean, Devontae Smith is a hell of a punt returner too, but Waddle you're going to get on punt return and kick return. The thing with him is, can he stay healthy? Like that's the biggest thing, right? Can he stay healthy? You got Galladay out there. Can Saquon stay healthy? And then you got a Devontae Smith to that offense, and then you're really cooking. You know what I'm saying? And I like Slayton over there too. So you're talking about 3 or 4 weapons for Daniel Jones to really get better. But they could also go defensive end. I feel like they need to pair somebody with Leonard Williams on the outside because this guy, is wreaking havoc from all over the defensive line. But if you could pair a guy like Kwity Paye with him or Jalen Phillips, then you're really talking about Leonard Williams even taking this game to the next level, because if you're not able to double team him, if that guy can get like at least 8 sacks or 7 to 8 sacks as a rookie, then you're talking about, 2 guys getting 8+ sacks on your defensive line, and you're really cooking there. Your defense will be humming.
So you're not buying into all these people talking about potentially Davis Mills or Kellen Mond as a first-round prospect?
I don't see it happening. I mean, the only way, honestly, it happens is if Denver takes a quarterback, right? And then Washington, New England takes a quarterback. So now you're looking at the back half of the draft. Does Chicago maybe take Kellen Mond in the first round when they could potentially maybe get him in the second round? I don't see them pulling the trigger on him. And I really love what Kellen Mond did at the Senior Bowl. I feel like he helped himself as much as any prospect could have helped himself. But I don't see the quarterbacks at the back half of the first. I mean, the teams in the back half of the first round really pulling the trigger to make Davis Mills or Kellen Mond the quarterback. Now, would not be surprised if Mac Jones falls to the second round if Kellen Mond goes before him, though.
You think that's a possibility?
That could be a possibility. I mean, certain teams love you, certain teams love other guys. A team might really fall in love with the athleticism of Kellen Mond more than the precision of Mac Jones. So it just depends on the team and the team fit. I really think New England's a team to watch when it comes to Mac Jones. I really don't believe he's going 3. I believe the guy is Justin Fields at 3.
And then my guy is Jamie Newman, who nobody's talking about because he didn't play last year. You watch any of his tape at all?
Yeah, he was good, but he struggled at the Senior Bowl. You could tell a lot of it was because he took off the whole year. So I think the Senior Bowl kind of actually hurt him in regards to him not playing for Georgia this past year. Coming from Wake Forest, because he was electrifying at Wake Forest and played really well. And I thought he was going to really help Georgia go to the next level and potentially, play for a national championship or compete for the SEC, title against Alabama. But he decides to opt out and not play, and he went to the Senior Bowl, and you could tell he hadn't played against competition in a long time.
And then I want to ask you before I let you go, so a couple of guys you covered at UCF are going to be top picks. Can you give me their scouting reports?
Yeah, so if you don't know, UCF probably has the best secondary going into this draft. We probably potentially have 3 picks going in the top 100 for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them go in the second round. To me, Richie Grant is the best overall safety. And that's just not me just being a homer. I really like the Trevor Lawrence kid from TCU. Yeah. But if you put him and Richie Grant's tape up, it looks almost identical. And, people will say that, the kid from TCU probably played a little bit better competition. But if you look at the Senior Bowl film, Richie Grant showed his versatility. He's the most versatile secondary member, not just safety, in this draft. He showed well to the outside corner. He showed well in the slot. I'm talking about locking up a lot of these receivers that might go in the first round at the Senior Bowl, locking them up. And then at safety, he can come downhill and put a hit on you. But he just finds the ball, man. He's just a hell of a football player. That's the best way to describe Richie Grant. He's just a great football player. I was a little nervous about what his 40 time was going to be, but he ran into 4.5s, and that's what you expect from a safety. So that only helped his stock even more to prove that. I believe his broad jump was over like 11 something. So that shows explosiveness right there. But to me, he'll probably go early second round. A team to watch for is Jacksonville. I think they could potentially pull the trigger. Him, and then the next guy, Aaron Robinson, is a guy that they could potentially pull the trigger on early in the second round. They need a slot corner. I was talking to their secondary coach at Pro Day, and they really like A-Rob a lot. They like his aggressiveness. To me, the most aggressive corner in all this draft. This guy, as you know, Zach, football's gone to 11 personnel, so that slot becomes the Sam in the run game, and Aaron Robinson will come up and hit you. He doesn't care about his body. He's going to lay it on the line. He's going to come up and hit you, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to know about it. But this guy does a great job attacking the ball in the air. He has gotten a little handsy, so that's something he will have to fix to the next level, because in college, you can keep your hands on the receiver a little bit longer than you can in the NFL. But people said the same thing about J.C. Horn. I think he's going to be a hell of a player too. But to me, the most aggressive corner in this draft, hands down, is Aaron Robinson. And then you talk about my guy, man, the unsung hero, Tay Gowan, right? 1 year at UCF, transferred from junior college after going to, I believe, Miami, Ohio. This guy's a long, rangy corner, right? He's going to be perfect for man press, but he can be a perfect zone 3 corner too. This guy has crazy speed. I believe ran 4.39 or in 4.41, but he's a legit 6'2". Like, you see him coming out the field, and people were worried about his size. He gained about 10 pounds for the pro day and was still able to keep that speed up. So people were worried about him taking the year off, and he did it for family reasons. He has a young daughter that, has some health issues, and And so when teams ask him about that, he put his family first, and I respect the guy for doing that 100%. But this guy right here, to me, can be the steal of the draft in the second or third round because of his measurables, because of the length, because of how he puts hands on people at the line of scrimmage, but can also play off-zone coverage. And he does a great job reading the quarterback and being able to detect the ball and get it. So those are the three secondary members from UCF. And the guy that's starting to climb up draft boards is Jacob Harris, our receiver. I don't know if anybody saw his pro day workout. This guy's 6'5", 235 pounds, and ran a 4.3. This guy literally was built in the lab. He touched out of the waters. I think he would have been number one in most of the broad jumps, the vertical jumps, if he had gone to the combine. But he's a late sleeper. I would say watch out for him 5th, 6th round. This guy's going to kill on special teams. He's a red zone threat. Had 3 touchdowns in the USF game, was just dominant in that game, and had the only touchdown versus BYU. Came on late, in the season, especially after the injury to Trey Nixon, and then Marlon Williams missed the last 2 games. But Jacob Harris is a guy that you guys need to watch out for. This guy literally can be either the 4th or 5th receiver on your team, but he's going to kill on special teams because that's how he got on the field at UCF first. So he doesn't mind running down as a gunner on punt, and then on kickoff, running down on kickoff, and he enjoys the contact. This guy blocks you, and he puts you in the ground when he blocks you at receiver.
Who would you comp Richie Grant to? Because when you're describing him, I haven't seen any of his film. I'm picturing Minkah Fitzpatrick.
I mean, that's actually a pretty good comparison. I'm trying to think of another guy I would compare. I'm one, Zach, I never really like to compare players. No. I hate it because you're comparing somebody that like Minkah Fitzpatrick is a Pro Bowler, 2-time Pro Bowler. Like you can't do that off a college guy. But Richie Grant, I mean, that's actually a really good comparison as a guy that's a playmaker in the back half, but can come down and hit you. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is a pretty good comp because a lot of people didn't know if he was going to be corner or safety too. And Richie Grant has shown that versatility. And I think Minkah has shown that versatility now that the Pittsburgh Steelers are using him the right way. He was in Miami. They weren't particularly using him the right way, especially with the new coaching staff coming in. He gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now this guy's an all-pro. So that's actually a good comp, Zach. But like I said, I don't like comparing players to other players.
No, because I know the fans of the guys hate it. So it's fun because you're giving them lofty expectations. That's really
exactly.
That's all the questions really have for you. How can people see you, watch you on the draft on SNY if they're in the New York area on Thursday night?
Yeah, so if you have, I believe, not cable TV, but if you have satellite TV, SNY Sports New York, I'll be on there, pre-draft show, 6 to 7, going over the draft picks, and I'll be on there throughout this draft process. So, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be talking about the draft. Guys, tune in. Also, I'll be giving updates on my Twitter, at Leger Douzable, and my Instagram, at Leger Douzable. That's Leger, D as in dog, OU, Z as in zebra, A, B as in boy, LE. Zach, appreciate you for having me come on again, and looking forward to this NFL draft. It's finally here, man. We're a few days away.
I'm hyped. Did they get SNY on the Reddit streams or not? Because I'm out of the can you get?
If not, you definitely can find it online. Definitely www.sny.com.
I'm out of the 5 boroughs, so hopefully I can still check it out. But do appreciate you taking time always. But this has been a blast.
Of course, man.